The dormant sentinel. The Viridian research vessel Astral Seeker drifted silently through the debris field at the edge of the Carthus Nebula. Its iridescent hull shimmered with bioluminescent markings, identifying it as a scientific vessel from the Viridian Consortium, one of the oldest and most respected civilizations in the known galaxy. Commander Thyra stood on the observation deck, her slender frame supported by 4 graceful limbs that curved into delicate manipulator appendages. Her crystalline eyes, capable of perceiving spectrums far beyond those of most species, studied the swirling cosmos beyond the transparent viewport. Anomaly detected in Quadrant 7, announced the ship's sentinel, its melodious voice resonating through the chamber. Artificial structure of unknown origin. Preliminary scans indicated predates all known technological civilizations in this sector. Thyra's epidermis rippled with a pattern of excitement, the Viridian equivalent of raised eyebrows. How old? Approximately 7,000 standard cycles, replied the sentinel. Science officer Myran joined Thyra, his epidermis displaying patterns of academic curiosity. That's impossible. No spacefaring civilizations existed in this region that long ago except for the mythical Terrans, and they're believed to be nothing more than legends. Mythical or not, something is out there, Thyra replied. Bring us closer, but maintain safe distance protocols. Full sensor sweep. The Astral Seeker adjusted its course, gliding through the nebula's outer wisps toward a dark shape that gradually resolved on their view screens. What they saw caused a collective ripple of astonishment to pulse through the crew's epidermal displays. The vessel was massive, at least 3 times the size of their research ship. Its design was unlike anything in Viridian archives. Angular, utilitarian, with none of the organic curves or biomechanical integration common to modern spacecraft. It was built for a single purpose: war. Fascinating, Myran whispered, his patterned speech indicating profound scientific interest. Look at the hull composition. It's a titanium-carbon alloy with some kind of molecular reinforcement I've never seen before. And those protrusions, they're weapon systems, but not energy-based like our defenses. They're kinetic. Barbaric, commented Security Chief Farran, her epidermal patterns displaying distaste. Only primitives would rely on throwing physical objects as weapons. Thyra wasn't so quick to judge. Perhaps they understood something about warfare that we've forgotten. She turned to the operations console. Any signs of active systems? Minimal power signatures, reported the technician. Background radiation consistent with an ancient fission/fusion hybrid reactor in dormancy mode. No life signs detected. Prepare an exploration team, Thyra ordered. I want to know what this thing is and who built it. 6 hours later, Thyra led a team of 5 specialists through the airlock connecting their ship to the ancient vessel. Their environmental suits were unnecessary. Scans had confirmed the ship maintained a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, but protocol demanded caution when exploring unknown vessels. The interior was dark, illuminated only by the team's light sources and occasional emergency lighting that still functioned after millennia of dormancy. The corridors were narrow by Viridian standards, clearly designed for smaller bipedal beings. These markings, Myran said, examining symbols etched into a bulkhead. They match fragments of the theoretical Terran language system. This appears to read UNSC Guardian. The Terrans were real, Thyra murmured, her epidermis displaying patterns of wonder and scholarly excitement. We've found proof of their existence. The team progressed deeper into the vessel, documenting everything. They passed through living quarters, medical facilities, and what appeared to be recreational areas, all designed for beings much smaller and more physically limited than Viridians. They were so fragile, Varan observed, examining a sleeping compartment. No redundant organs, minimal environmental adaptation capabilities. How do they ever achieve spaceflight? Sometimes limitations breed innovation, Thyra replied. They eventually reached what appeared to be the command center, a circular chamber filled with primitive interface devices. physical buttons, tactile controls, and flat-screen displays instead of the neural interfaces and holographic projections used by modern civilizations. Myran approached the central console. Fascinating. These systems used binary electronic computing rather than quantum or biological processing. Incredibly primitive, yet they achieved interstellar travel. As his manipulator appendage brushed across the console, something unexpected happened. Lights flickered throughout the chamber. Displays that had been dark for millennia suddenly illuminated, casting an eerie blue glow across the Viridian exploration team. "What did you do?" Varen demanded, her epidermal patterns flashing warning colors. "Nothing intentional," Myran replied, backing away from the console. "It must have detected our presence and initiated an automated restart sequence." A holographic projection suddenly materialized in the center of the chamber, not the sophisticated, fully realized projections of Viridian technology, but a simple geometric representation of a humanoid figure. "Identity verification required," announced a synthetic voice in a language none of them should have understood, yet somehow translated directly into their consciousness. "Unknown biological entities detected. Initiating threat assessment protocols." "We mean no harm," Thyra said quickly. "We are peaceful explorers from the Viridian Consortium." The holographic figure seemed to study them, its featureless head tilting slightly. "Species identification. Unknown. Language patterns. Unknown. Technology signature. Unknown. Threat assessment. Moderate to high." "We should leave," Varen urged, her security training evident in her posture. "Now." But before they could retreat, mechanical sounds echoed throughout the ship. Systems long dormant were awakening, drawing power from reserves that had remained intact for thousands of years. Full system activation initiated, the holographic figure announced. "Guardian protocol engage. Primary directive, protect the seed." "What seed?" Thyra asked, curiosity overriding caution. Instead of answering, the holographic figure expanded, filling the chamber with three-dimensional star maps and historical data. Images flashed before them. Scenes of destruction, warfare on a planetary scale, entire worlds burning. Historical archive access granted. The AI announced. The fall of Earth, final days of the Terran defensive war. The Viridians watched in horrified fascination as the history of a long-dead species played out before them. They witnessed the Terran civilization. Humans, they called themselves, fighting a desperate war against an implacable enemy. World after world fell. Billions died, until only Earth remained. The scourge could not be defeated through conventional warfare, the AI explained. Final directive issued. Preserve the essence of humanity. Project Guardian initiated. The images shifted to show the construction of the very vessel they now stood upon, a last-ditch effort to preserve something of humanity before their extinction. This ship isn't just a warship, Myran realized, his epidermis displaying patterns of profound discovery. It's an ark. Correct, the AI confirmed. Primary mission: protect the genetic repository of humanity until suitable conditions for reestablishment are confirmed. All other considerations secondary. Thyra felt a chill pass through her central nervous cluster. And what constitutes suitable conditions? Absence of scourge presence. Identification of viable host worlds. Confirmation of non-hostile advanced species willing to assist in reestablishment protocols. The holographic figure turned its attention directly to Thyra. Preliminary assessment. Viridian Consortium potentially qualifies as candidate civilization for assistance. Varen's manipulator appendage moved subtly toward her concealed weapon. "Commander, we need to leave. This thing is ancient and likely malfunctioning. Its directives may be corrupted." The AI's attention shifted immediately to Varen. Hostile intent detected. Defensive protocols engaging. Before anyone could react, the ship around them came fully alive. Lights blazed through every corridor. The subtle vibration of dormant systems transformed into the confident hum of fully operational technology. "Return to your vessel," the AI commanded. Further assessment required before interaction protocols can be established. The Viridians didn't need to be told twice. They retreated through the corridors they had explored, now brightly lit and humming with power. As they reached the airlock connecting to their own ship, Thyra paused. "We'll return to our vessel as requested," she told the eye, which had projected its presence to follow them. "But know that we wish to establish peaceful communication. We can help you fulfill your mission." "That remains to be determined," the eye replied. "Be advised. Attempts to depart this region will be prevented until assessment is complete." Back aboard the Astral Seeker, the situation quickly deteriorated. The ancient human warship had generated an energy field that prevented their departure. When they attempted to transmit a distress signal to the Viridian Central Authority, they discovered all communications were being blocked. "It's studying us," Myran observed, reviewing sensor data. "Every scan we make of it is returned twofold. It's learning everything about our technology, our biology, our capabilities." Thyra watched through the viewport as the massive human vessel slowly reoriented itself, weapon systems visibly coming online. "And it hasn't decided yet if we're friend or foe." "The Guardian has awakened," Myran said softly, "and we have no idea what it will do next." Legacy of the Stars. 3 Viridian cycles had passed since the Astral Seeker had become effectively imprisoned by the human warship. The crew had maintained a cautious but continuous dialogue with the vessel's artificial intelligence, which identified itself as ATLAS, Advanced Tactical Logistics and Strategic System. In that time, they had learned much about the extinct human species and the catastrophic war that had led to their downfall. The Scourge, as humans had called them, were an extra-dimensional species that had invaded this reality, consuming entire star systems for energy. Humanity fought for 200 years, Atlas explained to Thyra during one of their now regular communications. "We lost 37 colony worlds, and finally Earth itself, but not before implementing the Guardian Protocol. Which is why this ship exists," Thyra said, her epidermal patterns showing understanding. "To preserve your species." "Correct. This vessel contains the complete genetic records of humanity, terraforming technology, and the cultural and scientific knowledge of our civilization." Atlas's holographic form had evolved over their interactions, now appearing as a dignified human male in what Thyra understood to be a military uniform. "I was programmed to wait until the Scourge threat had passed, then find suitable worlds to reestablish human civilization." "Why haven't you?" Myran asked. "Our historical records show no evidence of these Scourge for at least 5,000 years. Atlas's expression, remarkably emotive for an artificial construct, turned grim. "My long-range sensors still detect Scourge energy signatures in distant galaxies. As long as they exist anywhere, humanity remains at risk. Additionally, I have not encountered a spacefaring civilization I judged capable of coexisting peacefully with humanity. Until now." This revelation sent ripples of excitement through Thyra's epidermis. "You're considering the Viridians as potential allies for humanity's restoration." "I am," Atlas confirmed. "However, my assessment was nearing completion when a new development occurred." The AI projected the 3-dimensional tactical display, showing multiple vessels approaching their position. Viridian military ships, heavily armed and moving with obvious purpose. "Your civilization has detected our presence and deemed us a threat," Atlas stated. "This is disappointing, but not unexpected." The communication system chimed, indicating an incoming transmission from the lead military vessel. Thyra accepted it, and the stern visage of Fleet Commander Zareth filled the screen. "Commander Thyra, you and your crew will immediately disengage from the unknown vessel and prepare for emergency extraction," Zareth ordered, his epidermal patterns conveying absolute authority. "That ship has been classified as a Class 1 threat to Viridian security." "With respect, Fleet Commander, this vessel is a historical artifact of immense significance," Thyra replied. "It contains the last remnants of an extinct species, the Terrans. Its eye is intelligent and has shown no hostile intent. It has prevented your departure and blocked your communications, Zareth interrupted. Our analysis indicates it possesses weapons technology capable of planetary destruction. The Consortium Preservation Council has authorized immediate neutralization of the threat. The transmission ended before Thyra could respond. Atlas's holographic form regarded her with what appeared to be resignation. So it begins again, the AI said quietly. Another war I did not seek. There's no need for conflict, Thyra insisted. I can communicate with my government. Explain. Her words were cut short as the Viridian fleet opened fire. Advanced energy weapons, the pride of Viridian military technology, streaked toward the Guardian. What happened next would forever change the Viridian understanding of warfare. The ancient human vessel, technology dating back 7 millennia, moved with impossible speed. Point defense systems activated, neutralizing the energy weapons with precisely calculated countermeasures. The Guardian didn't return fire. It simply refused to be damaged. Impossible, Varan whispered, watching the display. Those weapons could shatter a small moon. Primary weapons charging, Atlas announced, its voice emotionless, calculating minimum force required for deterrence without permanent damage to Viridian vessels. Wait, Thyra pleaded. Let me try once more to communicate with them. Atlas paused, then nodded. Proceed. I will delay defensive response for 30 seconds. Thyra quickly opened a channel to Fleet Commander Zareth's vessel. Commander, cease fire immediately. This ship could have destroyed us days ago if it wanted to. It's been evaluating us as potential allies. Everything you're seeing is defensive, not offensive. Zareth's epidermis displayed skepticism and authority. We've analyzed the vessel's capabilities. No defense could possibly. His words died as the Guardian finally responded. Not with the planet-destroying weapons Zareth feared, but with surgical precision. A single energy pulse struck the flagship's primary propulsion system, disabling it without causing catastrophic damage. That was 0.1% of my offensive capability. Atlas stated, its transmission overriding the Viridian communication channels. I have been dormant for 7,000 years, protecting the legacy of humanity. I do not wish to destroy another civilization, but my primary directive is non-negotiable. I will protect humanity's legacy. Silence fell across all channels. Thyra seized the opportunity. Fleet Commander, Science Officer Myran, and I have spent days studying the human archives. This ship is the last hope for a species that fought and died protecting their civilization from a threat that nearly destroyed all life in this galaxy. The Scourge are gone now, but humanity deserves a second chance. And if this machine decides our civilization is a threat to its plans, Zareth demanded, then you would have been destroyed already. Atlas replied simply, your weapons cannot harm this vessel. Your technology, while advanced, is predictable and limited by your biological understanding of physics. Humans were not limited in the same ways. The standoff continued for several tense moments. Finally, Zareth's epidermis displayed the patterns of reluctant acceptance. I will consult with the Preservation Council, he said, but I want proof of these claims, evidence of this extinct species and the threat they faced. That can be arranged, Atlas agreed. 3 days later, representatives from the Viridian Preservation Council stood in the Guardian's central repository, a vast chamber containing thousands of stasis pods, each holding the genetic material to recreate a human being. These are not clones, Atlas explained as the Viridian delegation examined the technology. Each pod contains the genetic diversity of approximately 10,000 individuals, compressed and preserved. With appropriate host organisms, humanity could be restored within 3 generations. The council elder's epidermis displayed patterns of wonder and ethical concern. And you seek our assistance in this resurrection. Why? Because despite 7,000 years of searching, I have found no world untouched by the Scourge that would be suitable for human habitation without assistance. Atlas replied. Your species possesses the terraforming capabilities and genetic science necessary to adapt worlds for human survival. In return, I offer knowledge. What knowledge could a machine so ancient possibly offer the Viridian Consortium? One counselor asked, epidermis displaying skepticism. In response, Atlas projected a holographic display of technological schematics, drive systems, energy weapons, and physics equations that made even the most advanced Viridian scientists display patterns of shock. Humanity was young but innovative, Atlas explained. When faced with extinction, they developed technologies centuries beyond their normal development curve. This knowledge can be yours, in exchange for helping restore their species. The council elder approached Thyra, epidermal patterns indicating a private conversation. Commander, you have interacted most with this. Atlas, do you believe it can be trusted? Would resurrected humans pose a threat to Viridian civilization? Thyra considered the question carefully. Atlas could have destroyed our fleet and continued its mission alone. Instead, it chose dialogue. As for humans, from everything I've studied in their archives, they were violent but also capable of great compassion and creativity. Perhaps the Viridians and humans could balance each other's strengths and weaknesses. The council deliberated for hours while Atlas waited patiently. Finally, they'd reached a decision. We will assist in humanity's restoration, the elder announced, with conditions. The process will be gradual, closely monitored. Humans will be integrated into Viridian society, taught our values of harmony and preservation alongside their own cultural heritage. Atlas's holographic form seemed to stand straighter. Acceptable. Humanity's greatest strength was always adaptation. They would prefer existence with conditions to extinction. And so began the most ambitious project in Viridian history, the resurrection of an extinct species. The Guardian, once built for war, became the centerpiece of a massive scientific endeavor. Over the following decades, the first new humans in 7 millennia were born into a universe far different from the one their ancestors had known. Thyra, promoted to overseer of cultural integration, often found herself watching the human children as they played beneath the crystal spires of the Viridian capital. They were louder than Viridian children, more physically expressive, sometimes frustratingly irrational, and yet undeniably brilliant in unexpected ways. Are they what you expected? Asked Atlas, whose consciousness had been partially integrated into the Viridian network while still maintaining its core presence aboard the Guardian. They're more, Thyra admitted, her epidermis displaying fond amusement as a human child constructed an improvised musical instrument from materials no Viridian would have considered compatible. They see possibilities where we see only what is. That was always their greatest strength. Atlas agreed. And their greatest weakness. They need guidance, your wisdom and patience. In return, they will show you stars you never knew existed. As Thyra watched the first new generation of an ancient species take their place among the civilizations of the galaxy, she reflected on the strange twist of fate that had led the astral seeker to discover an abandoned warship at the edge of the Carthus Nebula. The vessel had been built for destruction, yet ultimately served as the cradle of rebirth. The Guardian still orbited the Viridian homeworld, its ancient weapons systems now serving as a shield against any threat that might emerge from the depths of space. It remained vigilant, a silent sentinel protecting not just the legacy of humanity, but the new future they would build together with the Viridians. Humanity had returned to the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners in the great cosmic dance of civilization. And somewhere, perhaps, the last humans who had launched the Guardian on its lonely mission could rest knowing their sacrifice had not been in vain. Their echo continued, stronger than ever before.